Now, amid nationwide lockdown over the deadly coronavirus across of India, Delhi's Shaheen Bagh, heart of protests against Citizenship Amendment Act, was cleared this morning after 101 days. There was massive police deployment outside of Shaheen Bagh, and cops removed the demonstrators and their belongings from the protest site as prohibitory orders are in place in the capital. Some big news coming in. Prime Minister Modi is all set to address the nation at 8 p.m. tonight. Prime Minister Modi to address the nation at 8 p.m. tonight. We're looking at already a lockdown across the country until the 31st, but it seems like things might get tightened. The situation might get tightened, stricter by the end of today, by midnight, starting tomorrow. Prime Minister Modi all set to address the nation at 8 p.m. In the wake of coronavirus, there is possibly quite a lot that the Prime Minister has to say, owing to the fact that coronavirus positive cases in the country has spiked. We're looking at over 400 positive cases now. And here is Prime Minister Narendra Modi all set to address the nation at 8 p.m. Let's quickly go over to Paulami joining us. Paulami, do tell us, Prime Minister Modi to address the nation at 8 p.m. What is expected?
Well, this is obviously in terms of the government apprising the nation about the measures and the steps that the nation and the government is taking on behalf of the nation to tackle and fight this deadly virus. This was in fact discussed with various stakeholders as well. Remember that the Prime Minister is constantly having conversations with various stakeholders. Yesterday it was media honchos and industry representatives in the evening. He's been speaking to everyone, and one of the suggestions that has come up, in fact it came up in the meeting yesterday with media heads and the Prime Minister, where the media head suggested to the Prime Minister that because the Prime Minister has such far-reaching influence and emotional connect with the people of the nation, it would be best that the Prime Minister address the nation more often so that people's fears and the sense of anxiety and panic among the people is allayed and, they are laid to rest. So the Prime Minister has clearly taken that suggestion on board and will again be, addressing the nation. He, as he says it in his own tweet, will address the nation at 8 p.m. today on the 24th of March on vital aspects relating to the menace of COVID-19. So again, measures that are being taken, because several measures are being taken, not just by the central government, various state governments as well. A lockdown situation across 30 states and union territories across the country, something which, this generation probably has not seen. So it is a very anxious time for the people of the country, and the Prime Minister there coming out to tell the people that there's nothing to fear. This is only a temporary phase, that, the central government is taking these measures and the state governments unilaterally are taking these measures for the best interest of the people and their safety.
We also know that there could be stringent action taken with regards to the lockdown by midnight.
Well, as far as the lockdown is concerned, we've seen that, because, like I said, this is a very unique situation that a lot of people have not seen in their lifetimes. So they've not understood the gravity of the situation. We've seen people out on the roads. There's a lot of confusion about what, constitutes essential services or not. Is it okay if I step out to, pick up my groceries? Will I be questioned then? My ID card won't work at that point of time because I'm not essential services. So how do I prove I'm just going out to pick up some groceries for the family? So there's a lot of questions. There are a lot of unanswered, aspects of this, which the Prime Minister will try to put to rest in his address as well. And as far as taking punitive action against people, yes, that is being done already in some aspects, but it has been done not in a way that, the clampdown is straight up. The people are being told if they return, well and good, but if people insist, yes, some punitive action is being taken now because, a message needs to go across about the gravity of the situation.
Do stay with us. We also have Rahul Kanwal joining us, India Today's news director, on the phone line. Rahul, here we're looking at Prime Minister Modi all set to address the nation at 8 p.m, looking at the gravity of the situation and also talk about how it could get stringent by tonight. What is expected?
One of the key lessons from the World Health Organization and from countries like Italy, like Singapore, like Hong Kong, has been the need for constant, powerful and clear communication. And the best man for that task really is Prime Minister Narendra Modi, because he carries greater credibility than virtually anybody else does. So far more effective than a health ministry or a police briefing is for the Prime Minister to come and speak to people himself. In the United States, Donald Trump has been doing daily press conferences. The Prime Minister's motive really over here in the address to the nation that happens tonight is to try and explain the need for people to follow the lockdown orders. Now remember, part of the reason why Italy ended up in the mess that it did is because people didn't take the lockdown orders very seriously. They thought, okay, this is good to do but not necessary, which is why their medical facilities got completely overrun. To ensure that something like that doesn't happen in India, the Prime Minister will be reaching out to people directly. This is something people in the Prime Minister's office tell us was being worked on for a while. The Prime Minister is very aware about the need for constant and clear communication, and which is why they've decided it's important. The last meeting, last time they're speaking to the people, was when it was a Janta curfew. That was the announcement at that time. This is far more serious in terms of a lockdown being enforced. But even here, if people push back, if they don't follow the government orders, government infrastructure, the police can soon get overwhelmed, which is why he will emphasize during his address to the nation today the need for people to follow what the government is asking them to and how this is in their own best interest.
Right. Rahul, we also know that there has been fining that's taking place all across, punitive action against those violators. Do you think that the stringent measures by tonight will also mean detention of many of them? Is that expected?
We must remember that if people decide not to follow a particular order, detentions beyond a point will become meaningless, because how many people can you detain? Where will you put them? If you put too many people, what if coronavirus starts spreading in prisons itself? There are all manner of complications, which is why the Prime Minister took the approach of people's participation when he kicked off this whole process with the Janta curfew. I think that is what is key. That is what he'll emphasize on this evening as well. That don't think that you're doing this because the government or the police is asking you to do so. Do this for your own safety, for your own good, for your own well-being. Because remember, Nabila, united we live, divided we die.
Absolutely, Rahul. This is a self-responsibility. We've got to show collective responsibility. This is a time we stand for each other. It's not just for your own safety, but also for the safety of your loved ones, for the larger good. You stay indoors, and this is the Prime Minister all set to address the nation at 8 p.m. And it appears that he will be clearing some ambiguity that now prevails about what does a curfew really mean. Going back to Paulamy, thank you, Ralph, for joining us. Paulamy, if you could tell us, many areas around Delhi itself, there has been stringent checking. There are guards, police officers standing at every border areas, checkpoints there to ensure that no commercial vehicles can pass through unless they have a very valid reason or a pass that they have in hand. Of course, emergency services only.
Absolutely. Now, this is something which went out as a directive from the centre to the state governments yesterday, because the first impact of the lockdown or, of a curfew call, which was given on Sunday, which was the Janta curfew, was seen on the ground where people came out in large numbers, and they seemed to be celebrating at 5 p.m. when all the Prime Minister had asked them to do was stand in their balconies or at their doors while they're in self-isolation at home and applaud for 5 minutes the kind of work that essential services are doing in this grave hour. But that message did not seem to have percolated in certain quarters in the right fashion. And that's exactly why the centre then decided to send out an advisory saying, now it's stringent, now it's a proper lockdown, it's no longer voluntary, has been imposed by the state government on the advice of the central government, and now we have to ensure that everyone complies with it, because not only are these people endangering themselves when they step out in large numbers, they're endangering the lives of others as well.
Got it. Thank you very much for joining us.